Hey, what is going on, all my fellow godlies and Dauntless enthusiasts around the world? This is Vance from the more popular web series on my page, Warframe God Builds, some Dragon Ball Xenoverse God Builds, and some speed paints. If you haven't seen those speed paints already, please go check them out. Even if you're a new time viewer to my channel, please go check out my speed paints. This is my first time recording since having my daughter. I've been kind of off the grid, and she is just the most beautiful thing on the face of this planet. Like, I did not know I could produce such a beautiful offspring. But regardless, the first video I wanted to tackle coming back into YouTube and getting back to work was a question I've been getting asked by a few people anyways, is what do I think of Dauntless? And even if I wasn't busy at the time, even if my daughter wasn't along the way, there was a huge wait time for Dauntless. Like, when you downloaded Dauntless, Dauntless has been in the open beta for a week now, so you've been able to play it for free, you've been able to download it and play it for free for a week, but you really weren't able to for the first 3 days because there was a big waiting line. Like, when I first hit play, it said, "We're sorry, but there's 100,000 people ahead of you in line." I'm like, oh great. So I didn't even get the chance to do a first impressions video. Like, even if I had nothing to do and I was just sitting there with my thumb up on my ass all day, every day, I wouldn't have been able to give you a first impression. So I said, screw it, let's just play the game for a week, let's get a decent length into the game, discover a lot of the content, and then do an overview / review and be a little critic of it. Now I will say this, I've never played any of the Monster Hunter series, which is what Dauntless is being most prominently compared to. So I have no idea what type of mechanics Monster Hunter brings to the table. I can only go off of what I know Dauntless has. So just take my criticism with a grain of salt and be weary of the fact that I'm not a Monster Hunter fanboy, so I can't offer you any advice there. First off, Dauntless is pretty impressive. Warframe is financially stable at this point. They've been in business for about 5 years. They're doing really good for themselves, and Dauntless kind of follows that same formula. Free-to-play game, everything's free to you. Gameplay-wise, the only thing that you really pay for in terms of real money is cosmetics, which I think is a wonderful formula, but the only issue with it is because games like this, when they first start out in early access, they're bare bones minimum. They don't offer a lot of content at all, as with the case with Dauntless. It just doesn't. It has not offered a whole lot of content, but it has the intention to add on and give you a lot more. I've known about Dauntless since Absolver. Absolver and Dauntless they were coming along at right around the same pace. And if you're a follower of my page, you already know that I uploaded a few videos for Absolver, and I would like to do more. And I firmly believe that Absolver should follow in the free-to-play formula, because I think that it would generate more revenue that way. I think that is a very, very smart method in this day and age to advertise yourself as a completely free-to-play game, and then just let your players buy cosmetics when they want to. Players are more motivated to spend money in a game when they enjoy the game, and what better way to enjoy the game than just to offer all of the core game to you for free. That way you don't feel restricted, you don't feel like you have to buy something to get to the next level, you know? You don't feel like you have to make any type of commitment. You can just quit it if you don't like it. So that's one huge advantage of Dauntless, plus the fact that they have dedicated servers. Warframe still to this day does not have dedicated servers. Neither does Absolver, so them having dedicated servers is very impressive, but what's disappointing is that they weren't as popular as Dauntless was while it was in closed beta, and even before that, even before it went into closed beta, as popular as it was, they should have anticipated that their servers would get overloaded. So by the time they went open beta, they should have prepared for, 100,000 people to be online. But because they weren't, that's a knock on them. I've got to take like, if I were to rank them, if I were to score them out of 10, I'd have to shave off a couple of points because they weren't prepared. They should have been. They pushed back the release date for open beta, so you would think that they should have been prepared, and they just weren't. So 5 minutes into this video, I'm actually going to get into my take of Dauntless. Alright, so in total, I think you have 5 different weapon types, and that's the meat and potatoes behind this whole game. Depending upon what weapon you're using dictates what type of gameplay you're going to be running into. You have your great swords, your great axes, your dual blades, which kind of operate like the chain blades from God of War. Then you have your war pikes and your war hammers, and I think I'm covering all the weapons. It's really, to me, I think it's just the coolest and most satisfying thing in the world to bring someone in your lobby who has a hammer, who can smash a monster's armor, and then once the armor is smashed, you can have someone else in your same lobby who has a bladed weapon who can then slice the limb off of the monster you're attacking. And even with warhammers, you can hit them in the head, and then they'll get these like little polka dots above their heads that let you know that they're disoriented. So if you hit them one more time, like one good shot to the head will knock them out for for an extended amount of time. Like they lay there for like a good 7 seconds probably, I'd have to guesstimate. Enough time to get a full combo in, or a special, or an airstrike, whatever it is. Like just the mentality of Dauntless is spot on. Like it's very slow paced, and I gotta say, if all you're doing is watching videos on YouTube about Dauntless and you're trying to decide for yourself whether or not Dauntless is like worthy enough of your time, if you're a skeptic of Dauntless and you want to see what somebody else thinks of it, pros and cons, you're never going to be able to get from Dauntless what you would get if you just played it. Like, just go try it, and literally you will know within the first half an hour of gameplay whether you want to stick with this game or not, because it's such a unique experience. There's this mentality that you have to be, it's not just, you know, strike and dodge. Like it's not a Dark Souls type of game, although you do have to dodge like you're in Dark Souls, and that's actually one of my biggest complaints. So here comes the criticism. Here's the cons. There's no cancel. There's just not. Like if you're in the middle of a combo, you're committed to that combo, and it sucks because a lot of the monsters have very sudden attacks that have no cues. None. Like they'll just attack you, just straight up. And if you're in the middle of a combo, tough titties, you're getting hit, and it's gonna hurt, and it sucks. And I don't think that I think that the developers should have a look at that feature and just be like, alright, we need to let you dodge no matter what you're doing. I don't care what it is, if you're deploying an airstrike, or if you're doing an emote, or if you're in the middle of a combo, a dodge should cancel anything. A dodge is vital to this game. It is the difference between life and death. Restarting the mission or continuing on with your quest and completing it. So I think that is the most important feature of the game, especially to Warpike users. If you've played Dauntless by now, if you were in the closed beta, or if you played open beta and you just so happen to be watching this video, you know what I'm talking about. Combos are so vital to you being able to use your ranged attack. Because Warpikes, they have a unique mechanic where they shoot from a really long distance, but the only way you can use that long range attack is if you build on your combo. You have to hit the monster an X amount of times to fill up your energy gauge. Once your energy gauge is filled, you can pump that energy into a shell, load it into your weapon, and then fire it at a monster. There's a couple of problems with this. I don't know if keyboard and mouse users are experiencing this issue, but me as a controller user, when I try to use this feature, my shot will veer off into the sky, even though I am clearly aiming at the monster. And the only reason why I'm complaining about this right now is in the hopes that the developers are hearing this complaint, and they'll go and they'll fix it very quickly. Because it seems to be an issue with just controller users. I don't know if keyboard and mouse users are experiencing the same issue, but it's an issue. Like, it happens 10 times out of 10 with me. like I have never landed a shot because it's never gone where I was aiming at. And it's not because I have poor aim, believe me. Like, I will record footage and show you my shot goes off into the sky even though I'm aiming at the monster. It's so cancerous. So the payoff for getting successfully landed combos with the war pikes is just being blown away by a glitch. Not to mention the fact that you have to get in a good amount of combos to build on the gauge to pump in the long range attack. But here's the problem: when you get hit, and when you get hit by anything, it depletes that gauge. So all that progress you got, like if you got that gauge like all the way up and it's just like one more hit away from being full, if you get hit, like even just grazed by like a small attack, it'll deplete the gauge. It won't reset it all the way back to zero, but it will take away enough of it that it's a punishing blow. And that would not be bad. I would not be complaining about that if only a dodge could cancel your combos. But because it can't, and because you're fully committed to the combos once you hit the button, you're stuck. And so you're going to be building on that gauge, losing the gauge, building the gauge, losing the gauge, and before you know it, you're dead. And you've pretty much cost your teammates the entire mission because you built up on the danger meter, which makes everybody have one life to live instead of being able to revive. And because the dodge cancel feature is absent, it makes the entire game harder. And I don't know if that was the actual intention or if it's just a petty little thing that I'm declaring as a nuisance. But I don't like it. And if I were to rank this game, if I were to give it, something out of 10, I would shave off points because of that as well. That's just my honest opinion. I think it's very obnoxious that you're not able to interrupt your own combos, because it's a universal problem for all weapons. You cannot interrupt your combos with a dodge for any weapon, regardless of what it is. And so you end up going down a lot of the times quite simply because you can't dodge. And like I said, a lot of the attacks that the monsters do, they have no cues and they're sudden. So once you're committed to a combo, you can't get out of the way of it, and you end up taking damage. So it's less about skill and more about timing. And you can never get the timing right, because you never know what type of attack they're going to be doing next. They do them randomly. I've literally seen a monster spam a singular attack 3 times in a row, and then he resorts to 4 different other attacks. So I think that's my only issue with Dauntless, other than, small minuscule things. The shop is just atrocious. Like the online shop where you pay real money to buy something. It has like a featured page where you can buy a skin or something, but the shop will refresh. I think it's like every 24 hours. It tells you at the top. It tells you when it refreshes how much time you have to spend. Well, the developers are not taking into consideration the people who work for a living and get paid like every Friday or maybe once a month. So maybe they're out of money for this month and they can't afford to buy the skin that they want right the fuck now. So I don't think that the shop is being very considerate of people who don't have the money right now. Because if you don't buy what you're looking for before it refreshes, you miss your chance to buy it, and who knows when the next time that item is going to pop up in the shop. So I think that there should be a dedicated area in the shop for everything they offer, whether it's cosmetics, emotes, not like you go into customization. Like if you go into the customization tab, the only thing it offers is like dye colors, which is cool. That should definitely be there. But all the skins should also be there as well. You feel what I'm laying down? There's a lot of things that I disagree with, but would I tell you that these lack of features are a deal breaker? No. Like, I think Dauntless is really fun. I think it's, like I said, I think I mentioned earlier that it has a great formula. It's following in the steps of Warframe, and that's a successful formula. I think that the game is fun. It's fun enough to stand on its own, but it's lacking in features. The biggest feature I think that it lacks is these islands feel so goddamn empty. Even though they throw in just wildlife, like goats and stuff running around, it's not like you can attack them. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I really wish they would do one of two things. Either they could populate the islands with smaller, much more cannon fodder enemies for your hunters, and then lead up to the raid boss in the form of the monsters that you're actually hunting, or they could increase the player cap to 8 players and then have the monster at the end be much more challenging and possibly bigger in scale. And who's to say that you can't incorporate both of those? I would love to see like an entire area, like you have pursuits and patrols, stuff like that. I would like to see a boss battle in which like you spend the entire time in that area fighting the little guys leading up to the big guys, and then at the very end when you're exiting that area you have like an 8-player raid and you attack a big monster. That'd be cool. But that's something that they're gonna have to work on much later on down the road. I can't really think of anything else that it lacks. I mean, it's just such a complete game as is. Even though it doesn't offer a whole lot of content, like it's very addicting, it's very fulfilling, it's satisfying. You're just not going to get that experience from watching a YouTube video. Gameplay looks slow, it doesn't look very interesting. It's a change of pace. Like I usually play fast-paced, frantic games like Warframe and Absolver. The only slow-paced games I'm used to playing are Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six, and Splinter Cell. So I love the mentality of Dauntless. I know that Monster Hunter probably provides the same type of thing, but you know, I've never been a Monster Hunter fan. I think it's kind of been overhyped for the most part. Yeah, the loading times are unbearable, but I mean, it's a free-to-play game and it's got dedicated servers, which is impressive. I think that there's much improvements that could be made. I could make a whole list if you guys really want me to. If you guys want me to make another commentary video discussing everything that needs to be changed, then you know, let me know about it in the comments section. It just needs some polish. Like it's a gem. It's a diamond in the rough. Like it's a really great game. I think that everybody should at least try it. Like I view Warframe as a must-have for your Steam library, and eventually I'm gonna view Dauntless as the same damn thing. I think that with the proper amount of polish and maintenance, that Dauntless is gonna be freaking amazing. I hope that you've gotten a decent amount of information from this video, and if you liked it, it always helps if you smash the thumbs up button, comment, share, subscribe, and until next time, this has been Vance signing off. Once again, just a quick reminder, go check out my speed paints, please, please, please. They just need more views, and like I said, I truly enjoy making the speed paints more than I do the builds or the commentary. So thank you so much for supporting me, watching my video. And as I said before, this has been Vance signing out. Peace.